Hey, ladies and gents, how's it going? Hope you've had a fan-fucking-tastic day. This is Fandom Empire, and we're here with Clone Wars, the final season, Episode 1, a spoiler review. That's right, spoilers. If you don't like spoilers, get the fuck out. If you do like spoilers, stay, comment. We'll love to interact with you. If this was actually a live stream, but it's not, so joke's on you, it's a recording. But we will bring some live streams to you in the future. I'm your host, Sage, and joining me this evening for an occasion that on a couple of fronts I didn't think would ever happen. First up, it's I like to call him Fizz, but you guys can all call him McMahon. How's it going, man?
Oh man, I'm excited. This is, it's the one small step for man, one giant leap for Fandom Empire.
Yes, yes. And those that are wondering what Fandom Empire is, you might have known us once as Fandom City or Fandom Cantina, maybe even Night Force Media. And yes, we are three of the main four guys that hosted Star Wars Wastelands for the better part of 5 years. Also joining me this evening, we call him our Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain. Well, behind a curtain, no longer. It's Tommy B. How's it going, hater?
Hey, I am not the original hater. Let us remember who the original is.
That is no way to talk about
Toast
Mondo.
to
He's
you.
not here.
So start off to you. Hey, I'm doing pretty darn great. We're still getting used to this whole face-to-face sort of thing going on here behind the scenes, but I've been enjoying it for the past week or two. We've been playing around with it.
Well, we've put like a week or two of work into the on-screen process. The fact is, we've been going over this for a couple of months. But that's enough about that. You might be able to check out a later video, those that have followed us for years, on the details that led to this new incarnation of our shows. You guys are here to listen to us, or watch us, pardon me, talk about Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1, something that I personally thought we would never see. I mean, it's been 7 years since the last Clone Wars episode, which is pretty fucking crazy. And I think the best place to start is just initial thoughts after 22 minutes of what I thought was a pretty solid episode. Fizz?
Well, man, I think you hit it straight up there. It was a pretty solid episode. I mean, it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't the greatest thing since sliced bread, as I'm sure a lot of fans are probably painting it as, but good for them. I'm glad they enjoyed it as much as they did. But for me, it just felt like old boss, same as the new boss. It wasn't anything different, wasn't anything new, which is a good thing. This is a continuing series. This isn't a fresh start. So it felt like the old series. And that was something I was afraid we would lose somewhere in the process.
Hey, look, one thing you need to know about us is we're not going to give out gold stars to everything that any of the projects that we will follow here on this channel do. We are blunt, we are biased, and we say what's on our mind, whether anybody likes it or not. Tommy B., your initial impressions of this return to, dare I say, George Lucas's Clone Wars?
Well, McMahon had it pretty darn good when he first summed it up by saying that it's like the old series. It doesn't feel like it's completely changed. We're in a different era of Star Wars now. And certainly a lot different stuff is going on behind the scenes, but it just felt like the series kept going and like we're picking right up where we left off. As far as what you just said, that we're not going to give a gold star to everyone for effort and what have you. The troopers in this series went by the name The Bad Batch. Well, I think we need to come up with a name like that for us. I think we need to call ourselves like the Hater Gang or something like that.
Well, I don't lump me in with you guys. I don't drink that.
No. You're one of those. As I recall, you are very anti-prequel, my friend.
But we're not talking about prequels right now.
Prequels. Look at that beautiful Attack of the Clones poster in my background. And yeah, I believe we have a name. I believe we announced that our name is the Knights of Mandalore. That's right, a podcast that didn't quite get off its feet, but is still going to get off its feet, and you're going to be able to listen to that podcast either in podcast form or on a video cast right here on the Fandom Empire YouTube channel. Guys, I have to say I was really worried. Tommy B let me know before I watched the episode that this was a clone-centric episode, basically. And I have to say that the clone-centric episodes were probably my least favorite in the Clone Wars for the most part. That didn't mean they were bad. They just weren't my favorite. And even though this very much was a clone-centric Clone Wars episode that felt very, dare I say, Rambo/Suicide Squad-ish, it still ended up being a really solid episode. It wasn't the best episode I ever seen. It was far from the worst episode I've ever seen. It was a solid step back into the Clone Wars without having to rely on the legacy characters. And that's kind of impressive to be able to deliver a solid episode without showing much of Anakin or Obi-Wan or Mace or Yoda or Ahsoka or Maul or, Dooku. The list goes on. They didn't rely on any of those characters to come back. They relied on the clones from the Clone Wars. That Clone War that we heard way back in 1977. And I think one of the issues that, it's not an issue, but it's frustrating because, don't get me wrong, I like the animated series, but it's so telling all the material you can make out of the Clone War that, seeing what they're doing with the Mandalorian now, and this is greedy of me to say, selfish too, but, who wouldn't want a live-action Clone Wars series? Sign me up for that.
Have we developed the technology to clone someone? Because that'd be a hell of a series to shoot. I mean, the second the helmets come off, I don't want to be those guys.
Come on, that's old tech. Old tech. Let's get into what we all liked about the episode. Fizz, I'm going to send it over to you first on this one. What did you like about Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1?
Well, man, I think when you talked about not relying on the legacy characters that aren't clones, I love that about this episode. When it first became, I didn't have the benefit of knowledge beforehand, knowing that this was going to be a clone-centric episode. So it took me, a few minutes to figure out it was going to be a clone-centric episode. And at first I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good. Because I didn't really like the clone-centric episodes, like you said. I was the same way. But by the time we introduced the Bad Batch and actually got to see them start, interacting with each other and, going back and forth, you got that element of, I don't want to say fun, but, that a lack of lightsaber was something I was afraid was going to happen in this series. We've gone, for quite a while in the television universe without having seen a lightsaber in combat, that I didn't expect them to not have one in the first episode, and it worked. The story was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a lot about this episode. There's nothing I can point at and say I didn't like, but a lot of things I can point at and say I did enjoy, and that starts with the Bad Batch.
I shockingly agree with everything you just said. Usually,
mark your calendar, folks. This is it right there. That's the Mecca. It'll never happen again.
Mark it down. Tommy B, man, what did you like about this episode?
So I have the opinion that's different because I loved the clone episodes from the show back in the day, as I guess we can say now. So when I'm asked what my favorite episode is, I can't exactly give a very solid answer. I can certainly say that one of the first episodes that comes to mind is, episode 4, episode 5, Rookies. All the episodes that followed the clones throughout the series, and even the episodes that weren't clone exclusive, they just built on their characters and backstory a little more. Those, to me, make up one of the aspects of why I just ended up falling in love with the series overall. As far as this episode, we began by saying that it felt like the show kept on going, never went on hiatus, never got put into different hands. I stand right behind that. I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite episode ever. That would be something beyond my ability to rank every single episode of Clone Wars from top to bottom. However, I will say that I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it has set me up, among countless others, I'm sure, with a just sense of excitement and wonder to see what's coming next with all the rest of them. How about you? How are you feeling looking forward to the rest
I'm
of the
thrilled
season?
for the rest of the season. I really do feel like it's all going to connect together. I feel that's where they're heading with this. My favorite part of the episode, though, was the end of the episode. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of on-screen stuff I really liked. But my favorite part is it rolls the credits, and it's not Filoni's name that pops up first. It's not Kathleen Kennedy's name that pops up first. It's George Lucas's name that pops up first. And I get it, he doesn't own the company, but any movie that comes out from this point forward, or specifically the sequel trilogy, really should have had George Lucas's name popping up first. And you know, I'm glad that we got that. It made me giddy to see it. You know, and hey, I didn't support everything Lucas did. I'm not saying that, but at the end of the day, in the world of Star Wars, he is the maker. So the episode itself was great. We're gonna go off script a little bit here, and I'm gonna ask you guys who was your character of the episode, Fizz?
Wrecker.
He was gonna be mine. No. That's
Oh, you
fine.
want me to elaborate?
Yeah, he was going to
Okay.
be mine, but at the end of the day, I think it dealt with a lot of Rex's internal conflict, and I've always loved Rex. And to go back to seeing younger Rex after seeing older Rex in Rebels was really cool too. I had to double take, like, oh right, he's not a bulky old man. So
An old man.
Rex for me. How about you, Tommy B?
Wrecker was the big dude, I'm assuming. I can't remember all the Bad Batch's names. I would need to go back and figure that out. But, assume a Wrecker was, big clone, go around just smashing everything. Total opposition to authority, what have you. He was the character of the episode to me, and I feel like he really brought that spin for us as to what makes the Bad Batch the Bad Batch. Clones with desirable mutations, as they were saying.
I totally agree with that. You're absolutely spot on. Cosplay Rambo was pretty cool too. I don't know. I can't remember his name. So I'm just gonna call it Cosplay Rambo. Come on, the red bandana.
I have to assume you're talking about
sure.
Hunter.
Is it bad that I don't know? Maybe it is. I don't know, but.
A little bit. I mean, considering you watched it in the
12
last
hours or so, yeah.
Let's say 12 hours.
Is there anything anybody didn't like about this episode? Was it the best episode ever? No. But I also really didn't not like anything. How about you, Fizz?
Yeah, there's nothing that really stands out as something I can point to and say, I did not like that. And that's a good thing.
Hater. What didn't you like, Tommy B?
I gotta tell you, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I did not like. Now I'm gonna tell you something that's coming to my mind though, and it's probably more my fault than Filoni's or the episodes or what have you. Echo, what has been regarded as a lost trooper. I was not prepared for this episode going in that we were going to revisit Echo, particularly at the beginning of this season. I need to go back, and I wanted to do this before the show, but that didn't happen, and remember what Echo's backstory was. When was the last time we saw him? And then maybe I can draw some connections as to why we're delving right into him instead of maybe introducing him down the line.
I would love to say that I have the answer to that, but so I don't make myself sound like an unintelligent idiot on here and give false information. I don't remember, because there's been a few clones that have sort of been presumed dead, and I don't remember if Echo was the one that ended up as a cook in the restaurant. I don't think he was. But one of the clones ended up there. Maybe I am. If anybody who's watching this wants to comment in the comment section below and let us know, that would be fantastic. I get where you're coming from, though, Tommy B. However, guys, it's time for our scores on this first episode of the Clone Wars, and we're going to bring them up right now. And McMahon gave the episode a 5 out of 7. Tommy B gave the episode a 5 out of 7. And I gave the episode a 4.7 out of 7. And you're probably wondering, why the hell are they rating an episode out of 7? You'll find that on our network, we do everything out of 7. Our countdown into this video starts from 7. If you're listening to the main podcast, the Fandom Empire Roundtable, we do the list of 7 at the end of the show. And now we're going to do our scores out of 7 as well. And when we do reviews for other things, it'll be out of 7. It makes it unique. I know I'm going to get a bunch of grief about the 4.7, and I made it hard. But at the end of the day, that 4.7 score out of 7 gave us a final score, a percentage score of 69%. Right there. What a beautiful number, 69. Definitely Fizz's favorite number. Tommy B, I'm not so sure about. But 69%. You know, I get it. Some people are going to be like, oh, how could you not have this in the 90% percentile range? We don't give everything a good score, a gold star. I don't know about you guys, but I think 69% for the first episode in, 8 years, 7 years is pretty good. Don't you, Fizz?
I mean, for me personally, 5 out of 7 is a gold star. You know, I mean, if you hit a 7 out of 7, you are a triple gold star with a smiley face. You know, you are that A++ perfect test. You know, with the bonus answers correct too. You're gonna have to work your butt off to get a 7 out of 7 out of me. 5 is gonna be, your modicum average number. I think.
Tommy B, 69%, man, for the first episode. What do you think? You think that's a worthy score and a good score for the first episode back?
Yeah, I'd say it's a fair score. It's a great score for given the circumstances and such. Our group here, we try to remove ourselves as much as we're able from the recency bias that just floats in the fandom, for the first week or so after some new content drops. And I think we did a pretty darn good job when it comes to this episode.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap up our first episode review of Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1. We scored it a 69%. That's pretty good. Solid episode, especially considering it didn't feature any legacy characters. Fizz, thanks for doing this, man.
Oh, man, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great episode,
Absolutely.
and I can't wait
Tommy
for next
B,
week.
Thanks for doing this, dude.
Ditto with McMahon. I can't wait for the next one.
Those that are watching this video right now and might be saying that Tommy B sounds off, we know that man has invested big time bucks into upgrading his setup, and you'll see us. Actually, I guess I will have the worst visual quality out of us all, but probably the best audio quality out of us all. Although everybody's gonna have great audio quality, so we do know, we're aware he's not right on par with us right now. He will be next week because he is still the man behind the curtain, our Wizard of Oz. Check us out on social media. Facebook is Fandom Empire Now. Pardon me, that's a lie. Facebook is Fandom Empire. Twitter is Fandom Empire Now. You can check out our other group, our other page on Facebook, Halloween Kills 2020. If you're a Halloween fan, if you're looking for any new information on that film that's coming up, you'll find it on that page. It's a quick growing page, and we have a bunch of shows coming up as well. But before we get to that, you can check McMahon out at Twitter at Fandom_McMahon. You can follow Tommy B on Twitter at XAS1650, and you can follow me on Twitter at Sage Wastelands as soon as I change it back to that handle, since I haven't done that yet. We have some shows coming up in the very near future. Inside and Out with Sage is a one-on-one sit-down show with yours truly, sitting down with other podcasters, voice actors, people behind the scenes, and we'll be diving into anything and everything with them. That comes out in March. It starts. Supernatural Revisited, a show starring the three of us. It'll be very fan interactive, diving into the SBN family. Starts after the series ends, so we'll see you in the summer for that. There's an untitled reboot of Fandom Fraternity coming with Zach and myself and a special guest. That guest will change each show. That show will be once a month. That starts in March as well. Fandom Empire Now is live right now. Fandom Empire Roundtable is having its last episode on Mixlr this upcoming Monday. That's it. We're saying bon voyage to Mixlr, and we're transitioning over to YouTube completely. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Hope you had a fan-fucking-tastic night, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.